Hi, my name's Rachel and I have an impulse control disorder condition called trichotillomania, which means that I pull hairs from my scalp. I have a full video on what trichotillomania is, including the causes and treatments, on this channel, so please watch that if you'd like more information. But today I wanted to talk more about my personal experience, how trichotillomania has affected my life, what I think may have caused it, what things have worked for me and how I have gained confidence. And I hope in this video you can at least find some aspects of my life to relate to. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below and I'll just get started now. So I'm 28 years old, but I started trichotillomania pulling when I was 14, nearly 15. So it has been exactly half my life, 14 years. I was relatively old compared to some people. A lot of people start as early as 8. I had a counsellor for it who told me she had clients that were 4 or 5. So 14 is a bit older than a lot of people, though they do say that it can be triggered by hormones and puberty, which I think was probably an element of it for me as well. So one of the reasons I think I started, I've always been an anxious person. I just think it's innate within me to be anxious. I used to get told I was a worrier when I was a child. And I started high school and I became friends with someone who ended up being a bad bully, basically. I got severely bullied by this person. I won't get into too much detail about it, but it massively lowered my self-esteem. And after 2 years of that, I did finally manage to break away from that person, but unfortunately a lot of the things that they'd said had been internalised and I had really low self-esteem. I was really nervous around anyone now, thinking that they might treat me this way. And shortly after, when I was 14, I started pulling. So I think it may have been a combination. It's probably something that was lying in wait and might not have happened to everyone who didn't have my life experiences, but because I was bullied and because I was going through puberty, then it happened, I think. Though I'm not an expert, that's just my guess. And at first it just started by me snapping the ends of my hair off for a few months, and then quickly it became pulling from the root. And I had a sort of 10p sized bald spot on the back of my head here. And I went to the hairdressers and told my mum. At the time, I didn't think it was that much of a big deal, to the point where I was sort of telling some of my friends. One of them even came to the hairdressers with me. And within a year, it had completely become all-consuming and gone totally downhill. And I was cutting my hair because it had gone really short in areas, so I had to even it out. And in the end, I just had to rely on hair extensions. I had to wear hair extensions every single day. And that went on for years. I'd say bullying became different. So I didn't experience bullying as bad as I had, but there were some people, like friends of friends, mostly boys. I'm not being sexist, but I just think teenage boys, 15-year-old boys, they're going to say stupid things and don't know any better. So I had people tell me that I was weird, that I was annoying for touching my head all the time. Why did I have bald spots? What was happening to my hair? I confided in another friend once, and then we had a bit of a falling out about something completely stupid and unrelated. And that friend lashed out by pranking my phone and getting all his friends to prank my phone and ask if I needed directions to the wig store, things like that. So that was quite traumatic. And I just internalised this stigma and I thought, I'm weird. I agreed with them. I didn't think what they were doing was right and how they were handling it was right, but I agreed with them. I thought I was strange. No one's ever going to understand. I mustn't ever tell anyone. And life's never going to be good, basically. As a result, things did get a bit better. I got into sixth form separately because I'd had not a great time at high school. I met some really nice people there. I had an absolutely fine time at high school. My hair started to look, sixth form, my hair started to look better. And then when I went to university, just before the summer before, my parents had seen a documentary called Girls on the Pull, which I actually think is still available on All 4, and I think you can watch it on YouTube. And I only found out recently that Hattie from my_trick_journey was one of the girls on there at 17. She's a year younger than me, so we're about the same age. And well done her. I remember thinking at the time, that's so brave. I never would be able to do that. And I wouldn't, even until recently. I mean, only in the last year would I have felt only in the last year would I ever have felt comfortable doing something like that. But what this introduced to me was a hair system called Lucinderellery. So you can still get this, and it's a fixed wig system. There's a better way of describing it than that. Google Lucinderellery, and they have branches in LA, strangely, but in the UK mostly. So London, Solihull, Edinburgh, Manchester, and there might be more than that. And you get an all-over fixed system on your head, and then you get it adjusted every 6 weeks. And though it is hard work and it's expensive, the upsides are, it's attached to your head. You feel a lot more confident because it's almost like having your own head of hair that doesn't come off and move. And at the time in my life when I was 18 and going to university and sharing bathrooms and houses with people, that is exactly what I needed. And it gave me a lot of self-confidence. Boys started to take interest. I'd never had that before. No, I had, but not as much. And I just never would have had the confidence to embrace that, the fun that I had at uni without it. And I'm really grateful for that. I met my boyfriend at the end of uni, who's actually my fiance, but it's a bit, I don't know, I find that word a bit cringe. So we're engaged to be married. So I met my partner at the end of uni, and I never actually told him about my trichotillomania. I think at one point I had to admit that I was wearing extensions, because obviously you can tell, when touching someone's head and stuff, that it's not like a full head of natural hair. And then about 2 years in, we were at my parents' house. This is before we lived together. And he just very casually said, "Can I just ask, do you have alopecia?" And I thought, all the trauma from my childhood came back, and I thought, this is it. I'm going to tell him. He's going to think I'm weird, and he's going to go. So I braced myself and I said, "I've got this condition. It's trichotillomania." I was really crying at this point. And I explained what it was. And I said, "But look, if you don't want to hang around, I understand." And he just looked at me like I was insane and said, "What are you talking about? I just wanted to know what was going on. Don't want to leave you. Like, what decent person would do that? Of course I want to stay with you." And that was the first time I realised that people, the people that matter. I mean, I knew my family, but I always think your family have to. But people don't mind. They don't care. The people that matter don't care. And this is someone that I want to spend the rest of my life with and love. And a huge part of that, especially initially, is like physical attraction. And he was still physically attracted to me and loved me despite my trichotillomania. Or not despite, that's probably not the right word, as well with my trichotillomania. Like, he's never made me feel bad or weird. He never brings it up in a bad way, just to talk about it. The only reason he cares about it is because he knows it negatively affects me, but he doesn't care about the way I look. And I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying that because if you have ever been worried that you won't meet the right person, or you might be single forever, because I did used to have fears like that, it's just not true. No one worth having would ever make you feel bad about your trichotillomania and not want you because of it. And you'll see this if you're part of the hair loss community. Like, so many people have lovely partners, and they're not, it's not that, their self-confidence is totally increased because of the hair loss community, but they've never had an issue finding a partner, and you won't either in that respect. I just want you to know that, because I've struggled with that. I had visions of me like having to adopt or try and get a child without a father. Not that it has to be a mother-father situation, but that's a whole different thing. It's just personally, that's me. So yeah. And then I had that system on for 7 years, and that's a long time because it's really expensive and you have to get a new fresh system every 2 years. So I had 3 or 4 actually, because I only had my last one on for a year. And I just turned up one day in October 2017 for a realignment, and they took it all off because they did that every 6 months because it needed combing out underneath. And they said, "Look, Rachel, you've got so much hair, we can't put it back on." Or we could, but it'd be ridiculous. Are you ready? And I wasn't, but it was such a shock. And they took it off, they cut my hair so it was like even. And this was the first time I'd had a full head of hair since I was 14 years old. And I remember leaving and I was absolutely terrified, because I was thinking, what the hell am I going to do? I've not had to style. Like it looks like this, your hair system. You've got like big voluminous hair, and loads of it. And then all of a sudden I just had quite like normal hair. But to me, I was used to seeing loads of hair, and I was thinking, God, what if I start pulling? But I think the shock of it stopped me for In the end, it was 10 months before I pulled another hair, but I made no effort, and I'm not judging myself here, I just didn't know towards the mental aspect of my trichotillomania, and I wasn't doing CBT at the time, and I wasn't recognising the like habit reversal or anything like that. So inevitably, I did love that year. I did love it, but inevitably, it started again in the July. So I'd taken off in October, and July it started again. But obviously, hair pulling takes a long time to show up, and it was another year before I thought, actually, you know, my hair now, I'm pulling from my hairline here. I'm going to need to do something about this. So I started researching, and that's when I came across toppers. And I went to a local wig shop. It's actually a wig shop right near the hospital near me, because it's like sort of aimed at, you know, chemo patients and things. So they obviously want it to be easily accessible for patients. And I got my first ever topper, and it was like biddy. It was a little baby, a little bit of baby, probably about this big, on my head like that. But I had like a lot of my hair still, so it would sort of blend into that. And then after a few months, the colour wasn't right. It was quite, you know, looking back, it was probably quite cheap for a topper. Like at the time, it felt like a lot. I think it was £200, but that's not, you know, if you know, that's not a lot. So I started looking at bigger ones, and I thought I need to like start looking into people that have it. So I started researching like hashtags for trichotillomania and stuff, and that's when I came across my trick journey and people like Hair Loss Boss, and that changed my life. So these people are completely, you know, just open about it. They're trying to remove the stigma. And I just felt so much better after finding these people. And they also introduced toppers and brands, which is when I bought my first topper. I spent like a month deciding which one, and I ended up getting a high line. I've got 2 high lines now, and I'm in love, and I would never look back. I feel so much better with them on than I did. And I'm just so glad I found this community. So I've been part of this community for, you know, a long time now, since October. And a week and a half ago, I decided maybe I should make my own account, because I'm sick of being ashamed of what I've got. I'm sick of people telling me they like my hair, or like what's different about my hair, and me panicking and not being able to say, oh, it's new. Because it's just so much easier if you don't have to lie. Because that's one of the biggest stresses of my adult life, I must admit. And I started my own account, and it's only been a week and a half, and the response I've had is absolutely amazing. It's great to be part of this community. It's lovely to see people so nice to each other, so supportive, how lovely these people are. And on the other side of that, I've also had someone contact me from my personal life saying, I've seen your Instagram account, and I just want to say I'm really supportive and you're so brave, which was really nice, because you don't know how people are going to react. Well, I feel like people should react well, and they do. But when you've carried this guilt and shame your whole life, you assume people are going to react negatively. And before I started the account, told 2 friends face to face for the first time since I'd told the person who rang me and asked me if I wanted directions to the wig shop. I mean, if they did that now, I'd be like, yes, please, is it a good wig shop? But then it was upsetting. And they were so brilliant, and they've been so lovely and supportive. So thank you to you too. I won't name you by name in case you would rather I didn't, but you know who you are, and you're absolutely amazing, and I don't know what I'd do without you. And I just wanted to say thank you to everyone, if you're watching, anyone who's been supportive. It's honestly changed my life, and it's only been 9 days, and I can't wait to see what it does over time. And if you have a condition like trichotillomania or trichotillomania itself, you aren't weird and you aren't alone. I'd like to help. If you feel like you can't talk to anyone, please leave a comment or message me. My Instagram account is trickflick, so at TRICHFLICK, like chick flick, but trick flick. And through me, if you've not seen other people, you'll come up with there'll be loads of other people recommended to you who also have trichotillomania and hair loss, and you can see them. And basically, I just wanted to make this video to share my experience and to show you that you're not alone. If you had a similar or different experience to me, please let me know in the comments. I'd really be interested to know if you're younger than me, if you've told people at school and how their reactions have been, because like I say, it was such a negative experience for me in school, but the world has come along so much in terms of mental health. Hopefully you've had a better experience. It's the same kind of thing as when I was at school, you know, people didn't come out as gay or any other LGBTQ plus, because they would have been bullied for it. But I think now it's been getting better and people do come out at school. So in the same way, are you able to be more honest about your trick, things like that. So yeah, thank you for watching, and happy mental health.